Blair back in the box. 1-2 the count. 2 on, 1 out. The pitch, swung on and lifted to right. That's deep. Back on it goes Canzone at the wall. He looks up. It's gone! Oh, my! Danny Blair! Can you believe it? The first home run given up all year by Seth Kinker is a 3-run shot by Danny Blair, a defensive substitution. Oh, my goodness.
If you do not like the best part of that Derek Scott and Tommy Moody call on the Gamecock IMG Sports Radio Network, you will not like listening to this show, especially in the next few weeks, because we will be playing this often.
Oh, my!
I mean, you had
to smile, you know?
You had to be zoned into that game to understand that call. And really, I guess the Gamecock baseball program at large. I mean, Danny Blair had gotten a few opportunities, never really taken advantage of them. I think Mark Kingston, I almost said Ray Tanner. I think Mark Kingston went on a Ray Tanner-like hunch.
Right. And
didn't like what he saw from Noah Campbell the first couple plate appearances in that ball game against Ohio State and said, all right, he's just not the guy. And Danny Blair comes in, and he's just trying to get a sac fly, just trying to pop one up, trying to get one in the air and get it to the outfield to score a run. And it was enough to keep going, and that completely changed the entire weekend for Gamecock baseball. And now they sit one win away from a super regional spot in year number 1 for Mark Kingston. Much like I said it earlier in the program, though, Bill, much like a move that Mark Kingston made earlier in the year where Logan Chapman gets in the weekend rotation, that completely changed the SEC season for the Gamecocks, and now here they are.
And again, I just, if South Carolina wins, and look, I expect them to win. I think they win the first game.
I think everyone expects them to win.
What does it change the perception, not just of this year, but of the future of baseball under Mark Kingston? Because I feel like everybody, I really want South Carolina got to the postseason. I felt like everybody said, okay, this is comfortable. This is right. This is where South Carolina baseball is supposed to be. And it was a different, even going back to Tuesday when I was filling in for Heath, and I don't know how you approached it on the Tuesday morning show coming off of Memorial Day weekend, but it was almost like with Chad Holbrook would get there was such pressure and tension to get out of the regional. And with Kingston, it was like, yeah, this feels right. This feels where South Carolina baseball is supposed to be. And now getting to a super regional in year 1, and maybe it's because we base it on that start that we saw 20-17, and you and I are having a conversation after the PC game going, I don't know if they can even have a 500 record. Let's not worry about postseason play. Let's just see if they can keep the string of seasons with an above 500 record going.
This was coming off an Arkansas series where they competed but ended up losing, and an Arkansas program amongst the best in the country, and they will be the opponent for either Carolina or Wilmington now, but they had just gone under 500 a couple of years ago. I mean, it happens. Yeah. It happens to really good programs. And then you have really good programs as well, hosting regionals that can't get out of their regionals. So we don't mean to get ahead of things here, but clearly we don't have to take it one game at a time, and it's not up to us to be focused this afternoon at 1 o'clock. And Craig is on the same wavelength as kind of this line of thinking. Craig says we got to win the series, of course, but USC has no pressure at all going to Arkansas, and I guarantee you the Razorbacks don't want to see USC come to town with momentum. I don't think there's any fear there, but I do think there's probably a solid percentage of the Arkansas fan base that would rather see a different opponent in South Carolina this weekend, but I think their confidence is plenty high as well. Robert hit us up in the Shepherd's Glass inbox this morning as well, at Tim Hill 1075, where he says, when I heard that Danny Blair blast that home run over the radio, I patiently rolled my windows down, then started violently pumping my fist and slapping my car, something I couldn't do with the windows up. Pretty sure the drivers behind me slowed down a bit with uncertainty. That sounds about right.
I always, again, a big turning point. And then you go on Cody Marsh with a great performance on Saturday evening. And
not just him. You got to give Sawyer Bridges a lot of credit. Rich Chapman coming into the 8th.
And Danny Blair ignites it again. Gets on base with an infield hit and then comes around to score. And certainly South Carolina got it rolling.
Well, that was the difference, right? That was a script unlike we've seen often for Carolina, going up 3-0 early on. And then being able to hold on to that thing and having really good starting pitching. I mean, Cody Morse had the changeup going, I think, probably the best we've seen.
Right.
East Carolina, I mean, they're the 12th national seed for a reason. They scratched a couple of runs and certainly had their opportunities. And again, we talked about the atmosphere earlier in the program, Bill. To me, the NCAA baseball tournament is a unique sporting event in our country right now, in that even with all the proliferation of social media, I mean, we saw it in the Friday game. They had technical difficulties and couldn't see the end of it, right? So it's still under the radar as far as exposure.
Can you imagine the NCAA men's basketball tournament having technical difficulties coming down the stretch?
And you just can't see the final few minutes of a game.
Sorry.
But at least Carolina had already gotten some cushion at that point, and it really wasn't in doubt. And the Gamecocks went on to win that one relatively comfortably. But that made me, I put out a tweet at the time, it made me realize how far this tournament has come. I mean, this thing used to be where you needed to go to the games to basically ensure that you're going to see the games. Or you had to go to NCAA.com to follow it, just scoreboards or the live stats. At least now you can see virtually every single pitch, unless you have some technical difficulties via your app, via the internet.
I mean, there's four. It used to be, I think, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. Basically, ESPN would pick out 2 or 3 regionals to show.
I think that's more like 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay, yeah, and you're right. It's become a bigger event. ESPN's invested some money in it, and certainly, I mean, you had broadcast crews. You might only be able to see them via the Watch ESPN app, but you had broadcast crews at every game. And you're right. You could go on, and last night, to my knowledge, Vanderbilt and Clemson was not on television. I know I was watching. Was it?
It was on. Yeah, it was one of the few. The SEC Network actually put that one on.
Ah, okay, all right. So I didn't even think about looking there. Yeah, because I was watching it on the iPad last night. So, but nonetheless, at the end of the day, South Carolina in a great position. And you're right; these things have grown, and they've grown by leaps and bounds. And certainly, it's a different type of tournament because it's double elimination. It's not like bowl games, or certainly it's not like the NCAA men's basketball tournament.
And these weather delays that we just saw in Greenville happen almost every single regional all over the place.
Was very worried I was going to have to come in here and anger Brian Jeffcoat this morning by saying that
someone's got to look into it, these late night games.
I mean, if they'd have started, but the NCAA did the right thing. SEC should take a lesson from the NCAA tournament.
Come on, they waited an awful long time, and it seemed like they were going to do everything they could to get that game in last night. Fortunately, a little bit after 10 o'clock or 10:20 or so, they made the call to push it to today, which I think was the right call. I mean, it would have been really unfair, I think, to UNC Wilmington. A game that started at 2 o'clock, that they start their next game at, 11:30 or something?
It would be close to midnight on the Eastern.
That would have been extreme. It's already really difficult the spot they're in. They got to beat Carolina 2 games to get to the Super Regionals. They're the only number 4 seed left in the tournament. That would have been ridiculously unfair, I think, to them. But you talked about early advantage, disadvantage to one team or the other. Maybe it helps Wilmington a little bit, right?
If South Carolina had sat at their hotel and maybe been able to take a complete day off, I think where they lose a little bit is having to come to the ballpark.
They hung out for a few hours.
Like hanging out. I mean, I know it's not playing, and you rested a lot of arms, and there's a lot of things there, but there's still there is that mentality of, okay, we have to go play. You can't just shut it down and then show up and go, oh, wait, we play here in 30 minutes. Everybody, let's start mentally preparing. I mean, you spend that day, so it's a little bit different than your typical off day.
Right.
But I do think just from the fact that you were able to rest, maybe beneficial. I mean, Wilmington had to spend, what do you think? The game was at 2 yesterday, so maybe you get there at 11. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were a full day.
Not earlier.
A little bit different there. Wilmington, a full day at the ballpark last.
But a huge advantage for Carolina not having to play East Carolina today. The home environment will be much different. I'm sure there'll be some Wilmington fans there. It's not that far, a couple hours away, and they really, it would be a huge boon for that program to come back and go through Carolina twice today and make it to the Super Regional round, I believe, for the first time ever. But for Gamecock fans, certainly in the driver's seat right now, and the environment that I was touching on earlier, it reminded me a lot of Sarge Fry Field, what we saw in Greenville over the weekend, about the same size, maybe 4,500, 5,000 fans there, and just I felt like I could feel like the hunger or the thirst for that program trying to get to that next level. It was like the fans were doing their best to put everything out there, give their team energy, and you got to give the Gamecocks a ton of credit for coming through, especially in that Saturday game when things could have gone the wrong way. I mean, Mark Kingston and company could have left Ridge Chapman in the ninth inning, and things could have gone wrong real quick. They didn't. They made the move. They made the move to Sawyer Bridges, and he came in and made the plays, made the pitches, and the Gamecocks made the plays to put themselves in great position today.
And we'll see. Interesting, again, if we come back here tomorrow and South Carolina has advanced, the perception of South Carolina baseball amongst Carolina fans and what not just this season, but where they feel the direction of the program is under Mark Kingston.
Sure, and you'd have to live under a rock as a Gamecock fan to not know what happened with the in-state rival in Clemson yesterday, 19-6, 9 home runs for Vandy en route to an absolute embarrassment for Monty Lee and company in the final game there. And Vandy rolling through that regional for the second straight year. For the third straight year, Clemson loses at home. So a lot of Gamecock fans with a little extra pep in the step rolling into work or school this morning. If you'd like to talk to us about it, give us a call on the Love Chevrolet phone lines, 803-404-6100. More details from commitments in football and basketball on the way. A big recruiting weekend for Gamecock athletics at large. And last night in the NBA Finals, if you didn't stay up and watch that, you didn't miss a whole lot. Steph Curry going nuts from three, throwing in some ridiculous shots, hitting an NBA Finals record 9, and the Warriors going up 2-0 in the series.
And I'm going to throw, my 6-year-old said something last night that caught me completely off guard and made me feel very old, and I want to throw it to you and know if it was suitable for him to say or if I have let him down greatly.
Oh, well, I can tell you the answer to that one already right now. If you have to ask that question, the answer is always yes.
He's 6, so there's leeway here, but I'm going to throw something at you that he said in the middle of the finals game last night, and all I could do was stare at him, mouth agape, going, I can't believe you just said that. But I felt very old.
Jen and I immediately just eyes shot at each other. Congratulations, mouth agape.
Word of the day.
How about that?
Wow.
June 3rd. Read it twice.
How much money would you lose?
I know, and I'm well
one?
aware today's June 4th.
I'd have lost a lot.
I would, yeah, everything. Mm-hmm. You give me you give me no odds, whatever. Agape is the word. Mm-hmm. Was it used correctly? Yes or no? All my money goes on no. Congratulations, sir.
He taught me that word over the weekend.
Your 6-year-old?
Yeah. That was not the word that was not the word he used. Okay. That was not the thing he said, but I do want to get into a question he asked last night that I'm going to throw it at you too, and I would like to see y'all's reaction when I tell you what he asked.
Oh, it's not going to be a better reaction than when you just got from us. And we Jen and I actually had our mics turned off when he used mouth agape correctly. This is actually what it sounded like.
Oh, my!
So you're watching the Warriors whip up on the Cavs last night, and your 6-year-old says what?
Kids are on the iPad. They're looking up the age of Steph Curry and some other guys, and they come across a photo, and my son says, who's Michael Jordan?
Oh, boy.
No, I'm serious. Like, well, he's 6, so there's part of me that's like, okay, he's 6. I get it. Mm-hmm. I get it. But, again,
That's
like, I don't. What was the proper response to that? I mean, yeah, okay. You see what I'm? See, like I get it. He just turned 6.
You cannot be serious.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of like, but that was his like. They're looking at because I didn't realize Steph Curry is older than Klay Thompson. That's kind of where it started. But they're looking up guys and he plays by. Austin loves sports. He gets totally into it. And I thought about that for a second. Like, what's wrong with you, son? Whose son are you really?
Let's watch Space Jam.
And then, it's a good point. And,
no, that's not a good point.
But yeah,
of course
he said
would think that's a good point.
Exactly.
Not an 80s. You can call me a bad sports talk show host. But like, you got a young child getting into sports, and he says, who's Michael Jordan? I went, my initial reaction was to send him off to bed without any food or water. And then
you are no son of mine.
Yeah. There's the couch, and it's outside, son. No blanket.
That tells you a lot about the home decor of the Gunter household, by the way.
I should say it's not a couch. It's more of a, it's outside. It's sectional furniture, and it's out on the porch. He would have had a TV. What's the proper response to that? Like, again, if he was older, I would have looked at him and said, clearly you don't like sports. There's other things we're going to try for you.
No. This is where you have failed as a father, clearly, at 6 years old.
He knows who Curry. He knows Steph Curry. Matter of fact, hold on. Just to tell you how much he follows sports, yesterday, me and him were playing basketball. One of the things he wants to do is do a starting lineup. So he likes the starting lineup. And so he knows in the starting lineup, number 30, Steph Curry from Huntersville, North Carolina. He knows where Steph Curry is from.
Right. So this is where I think you have failed him as a father, giving him the proper context to develop his sports fandom.
Okay.
But so what did you do? How did you respond?
I didn't know what to do. I figured I'd bring my problems to the radio show and share it with y'all and get feedback and then go back. This is how I parent.
Oh, boy. That explains a lot as well. Well, now, okay, let me give you some advice then. First of all, you got to use audio-visual aids, right?
Space Jam, I agree.
No. If you're going to go to a Michael Jordan movie, go with Come Fly With Me, sir.
That was more of a documentary, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. It was basically what I was raised on. I feel like I had that thing memorized. The intern Patrick has no idea what we're talking about right now. It might as well be a Charlie Chaplin film.
But do you see what I'm saying? Like, he's older than Austin, I think.
Yes, we usually do go to at least second grade for interns here.
But I'm just saying, like, see, you didn't know what I was going to throw at you, and that was now
It's
because you're like, this is going to be quick. We don't care about what you or your son does.
The kid. You can't blame the kid. Not the kid's fault.
He watches videos, like he gets on the I'm just that was and it was a moment of last night. Like, what do you mean you don't? Who?
You should now see this as a golden opportunity to raise your child in the right way.
Now, from now on, when we play basketball, he can be it'll be like an NBA live game. He'll be the 2018 Golden State Warriors, and I'll be the 95
That's a great
Bulls.
Idea.
Actually,
it's a great. And you can keep going back through the eras.
There you go. That's a good point.
Jerry West's name's popped up in this NBA Finals multiple times. I believe he's the only one that LeBron James hasn't passed.
So the proper reaction was not to send him out on the porch where the sectional. It's nice sectional furniture.
Is it not patio furniture on the outside?
Yeah, patio sectional furniture. Everything. It's got an ottoman and everything. I mean, it's
okay.
That was the proper response, was to not send him out, right? To allow him to sleep.
Well, it was a nice night, right? Could have been worse.
It was kind of lightning around us. So it was another.
Yeah, you don't send him out in the electrical storm. That's good.
Okay, just making sure.
Oh, we got some help from Mike on the Left Chevrolet phone lines. This is great news. 803-404-6100. We will get back to talking about Gamecock baseball, hopefully, eventually. Maybe some some Gamecock football and basketball recruiting updates for you. But right now, Bill clearly needs help. Thank you, Mike. Hello, Mike. Maybe it's not going to be help.
Can you hear me?
We got you, Mike. You got us?
Actually, this is Scott.
Ah, well, no wonder.
That's
Mike
right.
is clearly your maiden name. Our apologies, Scott.
So sorry.
This is true. But Mr. Gunner, what a great teaching moment you missed. It's like it's time to go to the videos and show him who Michael Jordan is. Mm-hmm. And let him see the wondrous of the man in the basketball situation, not a movie situation, but just go to the YouTubes and let him watch, and he will learn. It's kind of like my son a long time ago. I'm talking about Johnny Unitas, and he said, who? So I had to show him who Johnny Unitas was, and I showed him who Joe Namath was.
On the YouTube.
So they get a grasp of the past. But you kind of blew a great teaching moment there.
Now, Scott, do you have a particular recommendation? You got to start young Master Gunter on one Michael Jordan YouTube video. Do you have a particular moment in your mind?
I think I would start with the shot in the NCAA finals.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then move on to the shots of the NBA finals.
Okay. Well done, 1982.
I mean, the man was money. And then show him how he played when he's sick with the flu, and how you don't quit on your team, and how you persevere through personal injury. And Michael Jordan was the best competitor, and that's just a great thing to show a kid.
Well done, Mike. Thank you, sir. Scott.
This is Scott, Mike. My friends call me Mike, but few people call me Scott. So.
Good. Glad we're friends.
I thought he was going to drop my friends and call me Vicky.
Okay, so
Come Fly With Me. It encapsulates all that for you, sir.
All right, now you guys are like I get it. Like, I know who Michael Jordan was. It was just we were sitting there, we were watching the game.
Very concerned how you're going to handle the situation moving forward, considering your original reaction.
Some Shepherd's Glass Twitter feedback. Tim Kelly says, "I just feel like you failed as a father."
A little harsh.
Meredith weighs in. She says, "Oh, Bill, I will admit my 6-year-old frequently calls Michael Jordan Michael Jackson on accident, but he does know who Michael Jordan is, and incidentally, Michael Jackson as well, and my husband and I are not huge basketball fans. I am aghast."
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Interesting. Continue to hit up Bill at Will Gunter with 1L there if you need to give him some more advice here.
And Robert weighs in. He does have a point. He says, pretty sure that if Will Gunter's hosting a radio show, I may not be able to listen because he isn't teaching his son the major sports figures. I don't have kids, but I'll adopt and teach that kid. Probably have better NASCAR picks, too, with me. Mm-hmm. I do think Austin is also beating me in the NASCAR picks that he's.
Well, I think you go as a father when you get advice from someone who admits in the middle of that advice that he doesn't have kids. Then you just throw it all out and you're done with that thing.
No problem.
803-404-6100. Eddie would like to get in on the program here. Eddie was listening to us talk about the NCAA baseball tournament at large and how you can watch it and how the coverage has changed through the years. What do you think, Eddie?
Hey, first of all, I wanted to let Bill know. Bill, don't feel too bad because I listen to a lot of sports commentators, and it seems like when the LeBron Jordan discussion comes up, they've forgotten who Jordan was as well. But I wanted to let y'all know if you got an Xbox One, man, you can catch every game on the ESPN app, and you really don't have to do a lot of searching. But that's a really good avenue to get all the games. If you got an ESPN package at home, you can just pull up the app on your Xbox One. And I watched every baseball game and basketball game for the last 3 years on it.
Well done, Eddie. Public service announcement, right. That is. We appreciate the phone call there. And you can listen to today's, maybe you can sync it up, listen to today's elimination game, the Gamecocks' hope for UNC Wilmington, but it could be the final game of the regional at Greenville, North Carolina with a Gamecock win. It's 1 o'clock start time, 12:45, our coverage right here on 107.5. The game begins.